I'm Jason, 38, male my life, until very recently was defined by structure. I'm a structural engineer by trade. I look at blueprints, I calculate loads, and I ensure that the foundations of massive buildings can withstand the weight of the world. I live in a quiet, leafy suburb just outside of Chicago with my wife, Melissa, and our 8-year-old son, Tyler. To the outside world, and honestly even to myself, we were the blueprint of the American dream. But blueprints don't show you the rot inside the wood. They don't show you the termites eating away at the beams until the whole house comes crashing down. I thought I was building a legacy for my family. Instead, I was building a stage for my own destruction. It wasn't an inspection report that saved me, though. It was a terrified whisper from my little boy in the front seat of my truck. Before this story unfolds, I'd love to connect with you. Please let me know in the comments where you're watching from and what time it is in your corner of the world. It's amazing to see how far these stories can travel. If you asked anyone in our social circle to describe Jason and Melissa, the words you'd hear most often would be solid, reliable, and happy. We were the couple that hosted the 4th of July barbecues. We were the couple that held hands at the grocery store even after 10 years of marriage. We were the couple that everyone else measured themselves against. Or at least, that's what I told myself. My profession as a structural engineer requires a certain level of obsession with detail. If a beam is off by a fraction of an inch, the integrity of the entire structure is compromised. I applied that same philosophy to my life. I worked hard, grueling hours sometimes, to ensure the financial foundation of our family was rock solid. Melissa, a freelance graphic designer, had the flexibility to be there for Tyler, our son, which was something we both agreed was best. I didn't mind the 60-hour weeks or the site visits in freezing rain because I knew what I was working for: the mortgage on our colonial-style house, the college fund for Tyler, the retirement account that would let Melissa and me travel the world when we were gray and old. I remember a specific Tuesday vividly. It was about 2 weeks before our 10th wedding anniversary. I was standing on the skeletal steel frame of a new high-rise in downtown Chicago, the wind whipping against my hard hat, looking out over the city. My phone buzzed in my pocket. It was a text from Melissa. Dinner's in the oven, lasagna. Don't be late, Tyler misses you. Love you. I smiled, typing back a quick love you too, leaving in 20, then another buzz. This one was from Derek. Derek was my best friend. Actually, best friend. Feels like an understatement. He was my brother in every way but blood. We'd met in college during our freshman year engineering orientation and bonded over our mutual hatred of a particularly sadistic calculus professor. We had been inseparable since. Derek was the best man at my wedding. He was Tyler's godfather. He had been there when my dad passed away, sitting in silence with me on my porch while I cried into a beer. He was a fixture in our home, so much so that he had his own key for emergencies, and Tyler often called him Uncle D. His text ready, beers on Friday. Need to run some ideas by you for the new renovation project on my place. I replied, can't. Anniversary prep. But Sunday for the game. You're coming over, right? Wouldn't miss it. Tell Mel I said hi. I pocketed the phone, feeling that warm, comfortable glow of contentment. I had it all. A loving wife who cooked my favorite meal, a kid who missed me, and a best friend who wanted to hang out. I felt like the luckiest man in Chicago. The drive home was slow, typical rush hour traffic, but I didn't mind. I used the time to listen to a podcast about architectural history, letting my mind unwind. When I pulled into the driveway, the house looked welcoming. The porch light was on. The lawn was freshly mowed. I had done that Sunday, and the warm glow from the living room window promised comfort. I walked inside, shaking off the cold. The smell of garlic and tomato sauce hit me instantly. Home. Daddy. Tyler came rocketing out of the living room, crashing into my legs. He was small for his age, with messy brown hair and eyes that were usually full of mischief.
Hey, buddy!
I hoisted him up, groaning theatrically. You getting heavier. You eating rocks. He giggled, squirming to get down.
No, Mom made lasagna.
Melissa walked out of the kitchen, wiping her hands on a towel. She looked beautiful. She was wearing casual yoga pants and one of my old sweatshirts, her hair pulled back in a messy bun. She gave me a tired but sweet smile. Hey, you, she said, leaning in for a kiss. It was a quick peck, lighter than usual, but I brushed it off. We were both tired.
Rough day. The usual,
I said, putting my bag down. Inspectors are being a pain on the River North project,
but I'm here now. Wash up,
she said, turning back to the kitchen. It's ready. Dinner was normal. That's the scary part when I look back on it. It was completely, utterly normal. We talked about Tyler's school project, a diorama of the solar system. We talked about the leak in the guest bathroom that I needed to fix. Melissa mentioned she had a few new clients and might be working late in her home office a couple of nights that week. That's great, Mel, I said, taking a bite of lasagna. You've been wanting to ramp up the business. Yeah, she said, not looking me in the eye, instead focusing on cutting Tyler's food. It's good timing. Derek actually referred one of them to me. A friend of his needs a logo. Classic Derek. I laughed. Always looking out for us. Yeah, she said softly. He is. Later that evening, after we put Tyler to bed, I sat on the couch to watch the news. Melissa came in, holding her phone. She sat on the far end of the sofa, curling her legs up under her. So I started muting the TV. Anniversary is coming up. 10 years. Big milestone, as she looked up startled as if she'd forgotten. Oh, right. Yes, 10 years. I was thinking, I continued. Maybe we do a weekend getaway. My mom can take Tyler. We could go up to Lake Geneva. Or maybe fly down to Nashville for a few days. She hesitated. It was a split second, a tiny flicker of something unreadable in her eyes before the smile returned. That sounds amazing, Jason. But honestly, I'm so swamped with these new clients. And Tyler has that soccer tournament coming up. Maybe we just do a nice dinner. Go to that Italian place downtown we love. I felt a pang of disappointment. I had been browsing Airbnb listings for weeks. But, I reasoned, she was right. She was stressed with work, and I didn't want to add travel stress on top of it. I was a supportive husband. That was my job. Sure, I said, trying to keep the letdown out of my voice.
Dinner sounds great. Just us. Just us.
She echoed. She looked back down at her phone, her thumbs flying across the screen. Who are you texting? I asked, casually. She jumped slightly. Oh, just the client, the one Derek referred. Last-minute changes to the color palette. You know how they are. At 9:00 p.m., creatives don't sleep, Jason, she joked, but her laugh sounded thin. She stood up. I'm going to go take a bath. Don't stay up too late. Okay. Love you too, she said over her shoulder, already halfway up the stairs. I sat there in the silence of my living room. The house settled around me, the familiar creaks and groans of the timber settling for the night. I looked around at the photos on the mantel, me and Melissa in Hawaii. Tyler's first birthday. The three of us with Derek at a baseball game. I felt a strange unease. It wasn't suspicion, not yet. It was more like a frequency I couldn't quite tune into. Melissa had been distant for months, maybe even a year. Intimacy had become rare, and when it happened, it felt rote, mechanical. We hadn't had a real, deep conversation, the kind where you talk about your fears and dreams, in a long time. I had chalked it all up to the grind of parenting and careers. The Steven, your itch, arriving a few years late. I told myself I just needed to try harder, be more present. Maybe buy her those earrings she had been eyeing. I resolved right then and there to make the anniversary dinner spectacular. I would remind her why she fell in love with me. I would fix the cracks in our foundation before they spread. The next few days passed in a blur. I threw myself into work, wanting to clear my schedule for the anniversary weekend. I texted Derek a few times, mainly memes or sports updates. He replied, but his texts were shorter than usual. Busy at work, he said. Catch up soon. On Thursday, I left work early. I wanted to surprise Tyler by picking him up from school myself. Usually, he took the bus or Melissa grabbed him, but I finished my site inspection at 20:30 p.m. and decided to play the cool dad. I pulled up to the elementary school in my truck, watching the chaos of dismissal. Kids were streaming out, backpacks half open, screaming and laughing. I scanned the crowd for Tyler. When I saw him, my smile faltered. Usually, Tyler was in the middle of a pack of boys running or trading Pokémon cards. Today, he was walking alone. His head was down, staring at his shoes. He looked small. Too small. I honked the horn lightly. He looked up, and for a second he looked confused. Then he saw it was me, and he walked over. He didn't run. He dragged his feet. Hey, sport! I said as he climbed in. Surprise! Dad's taxi service is here! Hey, Dad! He mumbled, buckling his seatbelt. Everything okay? How was school? Fine. Just fine. Did you get that math test back? Yeah. I got a B. That's great, Ty. See, I told you studying would pay off. He didn't answer. He just stared out the window. I pulled away from the curb, frowning. You hungry? Want to stop for ice cream? Don't tell Mom. Usually, this was the magic phrase, a conspiracy of sugar, but Tyler just shrugged. I guess. We went to the Dairy Queen a few miles from the house. We sat in a booth by the window. I watched him pick at his Blizzard with a plastic spoon. The silence between us was heavy, unnatural. Tyler was a chatterbox. He usually narrated his entire day, breathlessly telling me about what Kevin said or what the teacher wore. Today, he was a statue. Tyler, I said gently, leaning forward. Talk to me, bud. What's going on? Did something happen at school? Is someone bullying you? He shook his head aggressively, not looking up. Did you get in trouble? No. Then what is it? You know you can tell me anything. I'm your dad. It's my job to fix things. He looked up then. His eyes were wide, and to my horror, they were swimming with tears. His chin wobbled. Dad, he whispered.
Yeah, buddy, what is it?
I don't want to go home. My heart stopped. What do you mean? Why? I just don't. T. Look at me. Did Mom yell at you? He shook his head. Then why don't you want to go home? He looked around the ice cream shop as if checking for spies. Then he leaned across the sticky table, his voice trembling. Because Uncle Derek is there. I blinked. Uncle Derek, is he helping Mom with something? Tyler squeezed his eyes shut. He's always there, Dad. When you're at work. The air in the shop seemed to vanish. I felt a cold prickle start at the base of my neck. What do you mean always? He comes over a lot, Tyler said, the words rushing out now. He parks his car down the street at the park, and then he walks to our house. Mom makes me go to my room and play video games with my headphones on. She says they have a boring meeting for work. My hands were gripping the edge of the table so hard my knuckles were white. Work meeting. Derek doesn't work with Mom. I know. Tyler sniffled. But that's what she says. But Dad, he paused, looking terrified. Tell me, Tyler, I said, my voice sounding strange to my own ears. It was calm, deadly calm. Tell me everything. One time. I got thirsty, he whispered. I came downstairs. The door to your bedroom was open. I stopped breathing. The structural integrity of my life was groaning, buckling. And I saw them. I didn't want to ask. I needed to ask. What were they doing, Ty? They were kissing, he said, a tear rolling down his cheek. And Mom was laughing, and Uncle Derek, he was wearing your robe. The world tilted on its axis. The bright colors of the ice cream shop grayed out. My best friend, my wife, my robe, Dad. Tyler reached out and touched my hand. His hand was so small. Are you mad at me? The question broke me out of the trance. I looked at my son, this innocent victim of their selfishness. I grabbed his hand and squeezed it gently. No, Tyler, no. I am not mad at you. You are the bravest boy in the world for telling me this. You did exactly the right thing. I was scared, he admitted. Mom told me if I ever told you about Uncle Derek coming over, you would get mad and leave us. She said you would move away and I'd never see you again. A rage. Pure, molten, white, hot rage flooded my veins. It was a sensation I had never felt before. It wasn't just anger. It was a primal need to destroy. She had weaponized my son's love for me against him. She had used fear to keep an 8-year-old silent while she betrayed me in our own bed. I took a deep breath, forcing the monster back into its cage. I needed to be Jason the engineer now. I needed to assess the damage and formulate a plan. I couldn't just go in swinging. If I did that, I might lose everything. Custody, the house, my dignity. Tyler, I said, looking him dead in the eye. Listen to me very carefully. Mom was lying. I am never, ever leaving you. No matter what happens, you and me are a team. Okay. Okay, he nodded, looking relieved. But we have to be smart, I said. We have to be spies. Can you do that? Can you be a spy for me? His eyes lit up slightly. Like James Bond. Exactly like James Bond? We can't let Mom or Derek know that we know. Not yet. We have to pretend everything is normal until I can fix it. Can you do that? Can you go home and act like nothing is wrong? He hesitated, then nodded. I think so. Good man. I checked my watch. It was 4:30 p.m. Finish your ice cream. We're going to go home. But we aren't going to stay long. I'm going to say we need to go to the hardware store for the leak. Just you and me. But first, we have to face the music. I stood up, my legs feeling like lead. The blueprint was gone. The house was collapsing. But I had to walk back into the rubble and smile. Driving the remaining miles to my house felt like driving to my own execution. Every familiar landmark, the corner store, the neighbors' manicured lawns, the stop sign where I taught Tyler to ride his bike, looked distorted like a funhouse mirror reflection of my life. Tyler was quiet in the passenger seat, clutching his seatbelt. I could feel his anxiety radiating off him. Remember Ty? I said softly as we turned onto our street. Sacred agent mode. You're tired from school. You just want to play on your iPad. Leave the rest to me. Okay, Dad, he whispered. I pulled into the driveway. My truck engine idled for a moment. Derek's car wasn't there, obviously. Tyler said he parked at the park down the street. Smart, cowardly. Calculating. I looked at the house, my castle. Now it felt like a crime scene. We walked to the front door. I put my key in the lock. My hand shaking slightly, I took a deep breath, plastered a smile on my face, a mask I would have to wear for who knew how long, and pushed the door open.
We're home, I called out,
forcing a cheerfulness I didn't feel. In the kitchen, Melissa's voice floated out. I walked in, Tyler sticking close to my side. Melissa was at the island, chopping vegetables. She looked up and smiled. It was the same smile she'd given me for 10 years. The smile I fell in love with. It made my stomach churn. Hey, you picked him up. I was just about to leave to get him from the bus stop, she said. Finished up early, I said, walking over to her. I had to kiss her. I had to act normal. I leaned in and pecked her on the cheek. Her skin smelled like her expensive vanilla lotion. It smelled like lies. Thought I'd surprise the little guy. How was school, sweetie? She asked Tyler. Tyler looked at her, then at the floor. Good. Tired. Go wash up, bud, I said, giving him a gentle nudge. He bolted for the stairs.
He okay? Melissa asked, watching him go. He seems quiet.
Just a long week, I said, opening the fridge to grab a water so I didn't have to look at her. He mentioned he's tired of the math drills. Yeah, well, he needs to get those grades up, she said, turning back to the vegetables. I leaned against the counter, taking a sip of water, watching her. I was looking for signs now. Was she wearing something different? Was she happier? Was she nervous?
So, I said, testing the waters.
How was your day? Busy with the new client. Insane, she sighed, chopping a bell pepper with vigor. Back-to-back calls. I barely had time to eat lunch. Cows. Huh, no meetings. No, just Zoom stuff, she said effortlessly. Why, just asking. Derek texted me earlier. Said he was busy with work too. Must be something in the air. She didn't flinch. Not even a twitch. Must be. You know Derek always grinding. Yeah, I said, gripping the water bottle.
Always grinding?
She paused and looked at me. You okay, Jace? You look a little intense. Headache. I lied. Staring at blueprints all day. Actually, I was thinking of taking Tyler to the hardware store. I need a specific washer for that bathroom faucet. And I promised him we'd look at the new riding mowers. Man stuff. Now. She looked at the clock. Dinner is in an hour. We'll be quick. I just need to get out of the house for a bit. Clear my head. Maybe the fresh air will help. Okay, she shrugged. More time for me to prep. Don't be too long. I went upstairs to change. I walked into our bedroom. The bed was made perfectly. The pillows were fluffed. I stared at it. Uncle Derek. He was wearing your robe. I walked to the closet. My robe was hanging on the hook. I touched the fabric. It felt tainted. I wanted to burn it. I wanted to burn the whole room down. But I couldn't. Not yet. I needed proof. Tyler's word was enough for me, but it wouldn't be enough for a divorce court. If I wanted to protect my assets, if I wanted full custody, and God help me, I was going to get full custody, I needed hard evidence. I needed to catch them. I changed into jeans and a t-shirt. I went into Tyler's room. He was sitting on his bed, staring at the wall. Let's go, buddy, I said. Mission time. We got back in the truck. As soon as we were down the street and out of sight of the house, I pulled over. Okay, Ty, I said. We aren't going to the hardware store yet. I need to ask you something important. When Uncle Derek comes over, does Mom hide her phone? Tyler thought for a second. She has 2 phones? I froze. What? She has her regular phone? He said, gesturing to the imaginary device. The one with the pink case. And then she has another one. It's black. It's smaller. Where does she keep the black one? She keeps it in the laundry room, Tyler said. In the box with the dryer sheets. I saw her put it there once when the doorbell rang. My blood ran cold. The laundry room. The one place I almost never went because Melissa insisted she had a system for the laundry and didn't want me messing it up. You're sure? Yes, she thinks I don't see. But I see lots of things. You certainly do, Ty. I ruffled his hair. Okay, change of plans. We are going to go to the park for 20 minutes. Then we are going back. I need to get into the laundry room, but Mom is in the kitchen. She'll see you. Not if you distract her. How? When we get back, I want you to tell her you lost your math homework and you think it's in her car. Ask her to come help you find it. Take her out to the driveway. Can you do that? Yes. Good. Keep her there for 2 minutes. That's all I need. We sat in the truck for another 15 minutes, just listening to the radio. I was formulating a timeline in my head. If she had a burner phone, that was the smoking gun. That was the text, the photos, the coordination. That was the nail in the coffin. We drove back. The sun was starting to set, casting long shadows across the lawn. Showtime, I whispered. We walked in. Tyler immediately went into his act. Mom! Mom! He yelled, sounding genuinely panicked. He was a good actor. Or maybe just a scared kid desperate to help his dad. Melissa came out of the kitchen. What? What is it? I lost my math worksheet. The one due tomorrow. I think I left it in your car when you dropped me off yesterday, Tyler. Honestly, she sighed. Can't you look for it? It's under the seat. I can't reach. Please, Mom.
Henderson will yell at me.
Okay. She wiped her hands.
Show me. Jason, can you stir the sauce?
On it, I said, walking toward the stove. As soon as the front door closed behind them, I moved. I didn't go to the stove. I sprinted to the laundry room, which was off the kitchen near the garage entrance. I flipped the light on. It smelled of lavender and detergent. There was the shelf. Detergent, bleach, stain remover, and a box of dryer sheets. My heart was hammering against my ribs like a trapped bird. I reached up and grabbed the box of dryer sheets. It felt heavier than it should have. I opened the flap. Inside, nestled between the fragrant white sheets, was a sleek, black smartphone, an older model iPhone. I pulled it out. My hands were shaking so bad I almost dropped it. I pressed the power button. It had 20% battery. The screen lit up locked. 4-digit passcode. Damn it, I hissed. I tried her birthday, 0412. Incorrect. I tried our anniversary, 1015. I tried Tyler's birthday, 0608. Incorrect. I heard the front door open.
I don't see it, Tyler.
Melissa's voice annoyed.
Check the trunk. Maybe it's in the trunk.
Tyler yelled. Good boy, I stared at the phone. Think, Jason, think. She's cheating with Derek. It's not about me. It's not about Tyler. It's about him. Derek's birthday.
No, too obvious. The year they met, I didn't know it.
Then I remembered something stupid. Something from college. Derek wore a jersey number when he played intramural rugby, number 12, and Melissa. Her favorite number was 7. I typed in 1207. The lock icon clicked open. I didn't have time to read everything. I heard their footsteps in the hall. I quickly tapped the messages icon. There was only one conversation thread. The contact name was Plumber. I scrolled to the most recent image. It was a photo of me, taken from the kitchen window while I was mowing the lawn on Sunday. The text below it read, "Look at him. Clueless idiot. Can't wait until the settlement check clears so we can be done with this charade." The reply from Plumber read, "Soon, baby. Just get him to sign the refinancing papers on the house first. Then we take it all." I felt like I was going to vomit. This wasn't just an affair. This was a heist. They were planning to ruin me financially. They were planning to steal the house I built for my family. Jason. Melissa called out from the kitchen. "Where are you?" I heard her footsteps approaching the laundry room. Panic surged. I couldn't put the phone back. If she checked it, she'd know I saw it. But I couldn't keep it on me. She might notice the bulge in my pocket. I made a split-second decision. I shoved the phone deep into my back pocket, grabbed a bottle of stain remover from the shelf, and turned around just as she appeared in the doorway. "What are you doing in here?" she asked, her eyes narrowing slightly. "Spilled some sauce on my shirt," I lied, holding up the stain remover and pointing to a non-existent spot on my dark T-shirt. Wanted to treat it before it set. She looked at my shirt, then at my face. My heart was pounding so loud I was sure she could hear it. "Oh," she said. "Well, dinner is ready." "Come eat." "Coming." I said. I walked past her, feeling the weight of the burner phone in my pocket. It felt like a grenade. And I knew that eventually I was going to have to pull the pin. Dinner that night was a masterclass in psychological warfare, though only one side knew the war had begun. I sat across from the woman who had vowed to love and cherish me, the woman who was currently plotting to strip me of everything I owned, and I chewed my lasagna. "Is it good?" Melissa asked, watching me. "Delicious," I said. "You really outdid yourself. I used a different blend of spices," she said, smiling. Derek suggested adding a pinch of nutmeg. "He says it brings out the sweetness in the tomatoes." I almost choked, of course. Derek. Even my dinner was tainted by him. "Interesting," I managed to say, taking a swig of water to wash down the bile. I didn't know Derek was such a connoisseur of Italian cuisine. "Oh, you know him." She waved a hand dismissively. "He watches those cooking shows." Tyler was pushing his food around his plate, his eyes darting between me and Melissa. He looked terrified. I nudged his leg under the table with my foot. When he looked at me, I gave him a tiny, almost imperceptible wink. "Stay strong, James Bond." He took a bite of lasagna. "It's good, Mom." "Thanks, sweetie." As soon as dinner was over, I volunteered to do the dishes.
"Really?" Melissa looked surprised. "You usually hate dishes."
"You cooked?" I said, turning on the faucet. "It's only fair. Besides, I want to let you relax." "Go watch your show. You're the best," she said. Kissing my cheek, she went into the living room. I waited until the TV was on. The sound of a reality show filled the house. I dried my hands and pulled the black phone out of my pocket. I needed to secure the evidence. Possession wasn't enough. I needed backups. I needed copies. I couldn't do it here. Too risky. "I'm going to take the trash out," I called out. "Okay." I grabbed the trash bag and walked out the back door into the garage. I didn't stop at the bins. I went to my workbench in the corner. I had an old laptop there that I used for diagnostics on car engines. I booted it up. It was slow, painfully slow. I checked the door every 3 seconds, expecting her to burst in. Come on, come on. The laptop hummed to life. I plugged the phone in using a spare cable I kept in my tool drawer. Trust this computer, the phone screen asked. I tapped trust and entered the 1207 passcode. I didn't have time for a full backup. I went straight to the photos and the messages. I dragged the entire folder of photos onto the laptop's hard drive. Then I opened a text file and started screenshotting the text thread, emailing the images to a secret email address I used for junk mail. As the files transferred, I read more. It was worse than I thought. Feb 14 Valentine's Day, Plumber Durake. Did he get you the necklace? Melissa, yeah, it's tacky. I hate it. I wish I was wearing the one you gave me. Plumber soon. Just wear it for now. Keep him happy. We need him to sign off on the Halokas home equity line of credit. March 3, Melissa, he wants to go to Nashville for the anniversary. Plumber, stall him. Tell him you're busy. We can't have him spending money we're going to need. Plus, I need you here. I have a surprise for you. Last week, Plumber, I talked to the lawyer buddy of mine. If you can provoke him into a fight, get him to yell or break something, and we can file for a restraining order. That gets him out of the house immediately. Possession is 9/10 of the law. Melissa, I don't know, D. Jason doesn't really yell. Plumber pushes buttons. Talk about his dad. Talk about his job. Make him snap. We need that order. My hands shook with a cold, focused fury. They weren't just planning to leave me. They were trying to frame me as abusive, to kick me out of my own home. They wanted to take my son away from me by painting me as unstable. Derek, my best friend, the man who held me while I cried at my father's funeral, he was telling her to use my dead father to provoke me. I disconnected the phone. I had what I needed for now, but I couldn't keep the phone. If she found it missing, she'd know I knew. She'd go into damage control mode. She'd alert Derek. They'd change plans, hide assets, maybe even grab Tyler and run. I had to put it back. I walked back inside. The TV was still blaring. Trash is out, I said, walking through the kitchen. Thanks, honey, she called from the couch. I slipped into the laundry room. My heart was in my throat. I opened the dryer sheet box. I slid the phone back in exactly how it was. I closed the box. I stepped out, exhaling a breath I felt like I'd been holding for an hour. I walked into the living room and sat down next to her. What did I miss? I asked. Oh, just drama, she laughed, eyes glued to the screen. These people are so toxic. I don't know why they stay together. Yeah, I said, looking at her profile. Toxic. By the way, she said, not looking away from the TV. Derek called while you were outside. He said he's definitely coming Sunday for the game. He wants to bring steaks. Is that okay? I looked at my hands. I imagined wrapping them around Derek's throat. I imagined smashing his face into the grill. That sounds great. I said, my voice steady, betraying nothing. I can't wait to see him. Cool. Oh, and Jason. Yeah, about the anniversary dinner. Can we maybe push it back a week? I just have so much going on right now. She was stalling, just like Derek told her to. Sure, Mel, I said. Whatever you need. No rush. You're the best husband, she said, leaning her head on my shoulder. I stiffened, then forced myself to relax. I try, I said. That night, lying in bed next to her, I stared at the ceiling. The shadows played across the drywall. I was calculating again, not structural loads this time. I was calculating angles of attack. I had the evidence. But evidence wasn't enough. I needed to secure my finances. I needed a lawyer, a shark. I needed to protect Tyler. And I needed to make sure that when the hammer finally dropped, it didn't just hurt them. I wanted it to bury them. They wanted me to sign refinancing papers. Okay, I'd play along. They wanted to provoke me. I'd be a statue. They wanted to take everything. I turned my head slightly to look at Melissa, sleeping soundly, her breathing soft and rhythmic. You picked the wrong engineer to try and demolish, I thought, because I know exactly where the weak points are, and I'm going to bring the whole thing down on top of you. Tomorrow I would start the investigation. I would find out exactly how deep the rot went, and then I would start the demolition. The next morning I woke up before the alarm. Melissa was still asleep, her arm thrown carelessly over her head. For a moment, looking at her in the soft morning light, my heart ached with a nostalgic pang. This was the woman I had built a life with. But then the image of the text message, "Look at him, clueless idiot," flashed in my mind, and the nostalgia curdled into icy resolve. I got out of bed, careful not to wake her. I showered, dressed in my work clothes, and went downstairs. Tyler was already up, sitting at the kitchen table eating cereal. He looked up at me with wide, anxious eyes. "Morning, Dad," he whispered. "Morning, partner," I whispered back, pouring myself coffee. I sat down next to him. "How's the spy life treating you?" "It's hard," he admitted. "I don't like lying to Mom." "I know, bud. I don't like it either. But remember, we're doing this to protect our team. We're the good guys. And sometimes good guys have to be sneaky to stop the bad guys." He nodded solemnly. Did you find the thing? I did, I said. You were right. You did a great job. What happens now? Now? I said, checking the time. Now I go to work, but I'm going to make a few stops first. You just go to school, do your best, and I'll see you tonight. Okay? Okay. And Melissa came downstairs 10 minutes later, yawning.
Coffee, she mumbled. Pot's fresh.
I said, I'm heading out early. Big inspection today. Okay. Love you, bae. I didn't say it back. I couldn't. I drove away from the house, but I didn't go to the job site. Instead, I drove to a diner 3 towns over. I sat in a booth in the back and pulled out my laptop. I connected to the diner's Wi-Fi, never used the home network for this, and started my research. First, I looked up divorce attorneys. I didn't want the nice, collaborative mediation types. I wanted a killer. I found a firm in downtown Chicago with a reputation for handling high, net worth, contentious divorces. The senior partner. Samantha Vance had a profile picture that looked like she ate structural engineers for breakfast. Perfect. I sent an email requesting an urgent consultation. Next, I logged into our joint bank accounts. I had always been the one to manage the long-term investments, but Melissa handled the day checking. I started scrolling through the transaction history. It was a bloodbath of small, unexplained withdrawals, 200 cash withdrawal. ATM near the park, 500 transferred to Venmo, 150 at a high-end lingerie store. Story had certainly never seen that lingerie. A 300 at a steakhouse eye on a night she said she was working late. I downloaded every statement from the last 2 years. I categorized them in a spreadsheet. The pattern was clear. The spending had ramped up about 6 months ago. That must be when the affair started, or at least when it got expensive. Then I checked the credit cards. There was a charge for a hotel in downtown Chicago 2 months ago. A Friday night, I checked my calendar. That was the weekend I had taken Tyler camping for Cub Scouts. She had told me she was going to a design conference in Milwaukee. Lies on top of lies. My phone buzzed. It was Samantha Vance's office. They had a cancellation at 1100 a.m. I took it. I arrived at the law firm early. The office was all glass and steel, intimidating and cold. Just the way I liked it. I was ushered into a conference room with a view of the lake. Samantha Vance walked in 5 minutes later. She was a woman in her late 40s, sharp features, impeccable suit. She didn't smile. She shook my hand firmly. Mr. Reynolds, she said. You said it was urgent. It is, I said. I opened my laptop. My wife is cheating on me with my best friend. They are planning to drain our assets, frame me for abuse to get a restraining order, and take my son. Samantha raised an eyebrow. Succinct. I like that. Do you have proof? I have screenshots of text messages from a burner phone planning the scheme. I have financial records showing unexplained withdrawals. I have a hotel charge from a night she claimed to be elsewhere. I slid the printed screenshots across the table. Samantha picked them up, putting on a pair of reading glasses. She scanned them in silence. Her expression didn't change, but I saw a flicker of interest in her eyes. This is substantial, she said finally. The text about the restraining order is particularly damning. It shows premeditation to manipulate the legal system. Judges hate that. What can I do? First, she said, leaning back, do not let them know you know. If they find out, they will accelerate their timeline. They might try to empty the accounts today. They might try to provoke an incident tonight. I haven't told them. Good. Second, we need to protect your assets. Since you are in Illinois, it's an equitable distribution state, but dissipation of assets, spending marital funds on an affair, is a claim we can make to recoup that money. They want me to sign refinancing papers on the house. Do not sign anything, she said sharply. Stall. Say the bank needs more documents. Say the printer broke. Anything. Okay. Third, she looked me dead in the eye. We need to strike first. But we need to strike at the right moment. If we file today, she gets served, she gets angry, the war starts. If we wait until you have everything lined up, we can hit her with an ex parte motion for an asset freeze and a temporary custody order based on the flight risk and the conspiracy to frame you. How do we do that? We need more on the abuse framing. If you can get a recording of her trying to provoke you, or better yet, admitting to the plan, we have them. Recording. Is that legal? Illinois is a 2-party consent state. Samantha warned. You cannot record a conversation unless both parties agree. However, there is an exception. If you have a reasonable suspicion that a crime is about to be committed, like filing a false police report or perjury. Some judges will admit it. But it's risky. What about security cameras? Do you have them in the house? Just the doorbell. Install them inside, she said. Nanny cams, in the common areas, not the bathroom or bedroom, obviously. If she tries to stage an incident in the living room or kitchen, and you have video proof that you did nothing, that is your shield. I nodded. I can do that. Get the cameras installed today. Keep gathering financial data. And whatever you do, do not lose your temper. Be the calmest man in Chicago. I left her office feeling lighter. I had a general. I had a battle plan. I stopped at an electronics store and bought 3 high-end discrete Wi-Fi cameras. They looked like USB chargers. I also bought a voice-activated recorder. Just in case. I drove home around 2:00 p.m. Melissa's car was in the driveway. I cursed silently. I needed the house empty to install the cameras. I walked inside. Hey, Melissa called from the office. You're home early? Forgot some files? I called back, just grabbing them and heading back out. I went upstairs to the guest room where I kept my file cabinet. I sat there for a moment, thinking how to get her out. I texted her phone from upstairs. Hey, just got an alert from the bank. Did you try to use the card at the gas station? They flagged it for fraud. I heard her chair scrape downstairs. A minute later, she appeared in the doorway. What? She asked, looking worried. No, I haven't used the card today. Weird, I said, frowning at my phone. Says a transaction at the Shell station on Main Street was declined. Maybe someone skimmed your card number. You better go check it out. They might have physically used it if they cloned it. Ooh, seriously. She looked stressed. I have so much work to do. Better safe than sorry. If they drain the account, we're screwed for the refinancing. That did it. The mention of the refinancing, her golden ticket, motivated her. Okay, I'll go to the bank branch and sort it out. Be back in an hour. Thanks, babe. She grabbed her purse and left. I watched through the window until her car turned the corner. Then I moved like a tornado. I installed the first camera in the living room, plugging it into an outlet behind the sofa. It had a perfect view of the entire room. I installed the second one in the kitchen, plugged into the island outlet. I installed the third one in the hallway upstairs, covering the landing. I connected them to a new, secret Gmail account on my phone. The feeds were clear. Audio and video. I had just finished when I heard the garage door opening. She was back, fast. I sat down at the kitchen table and opened a random file folder, pretending to read. Melissa stormed in.
The bank said everything is fine. There was no flag.
They looked at me like I was crazy. Really, I looked up, feigning confusion. That is so weird. I got a text alert. Let me check. Oh. Wait, this is for my old credit card. The one I canceled last year. It must be a phishing text. Jason! She snapped. I just wasted 40 minutes because you can't read a text message. I'm sorry, Mel. I panicked. I'm just stressed about the refinance. She softened instantly. It's okay. I get it. We're all stressed. Just try to be more careful. I will. Speaking of the refinance, she said, leaning against the counter. The broker called. He needs those signed papers by tomorrow morning or we lose the lock on the rate. Tomorrow? That's tight. I know. But the rate is so good. We'd save like $500 a month. I looked at her. She was lying through her teeth. The rates had actually gone up last week. This the push. Okay, I said. I'll look them over tonight.
If everything looks good, I'll sign. Great!
She beamed, a genuine smile fueled by greed. I'll print them out. That night after dinner, I went to my office, the guest room, to review the papers. It was a standard Haylock agreement, but the amount was maxed out. They were trying to pull out $150,000 of equity, cash. If I signed this, that money would be in our joint account in 48 hours, and then it would disappear into crypto or an offshore account, and I'd be left with the debt. I took a pen. I flipped to the signature page, and I signed it, Jason Reynolds. But I didn't sign it with my normal signature. I used my left hand. It looked shaky wrong. And then I accidentally spilled my coffee all over the page, a giant brown stain soaking the signature and the notary block. Crap! I yelled loud enough for her to hear. Melissa came running. What happened? I spilled coffee. I groaned, holding up the dripping paper. Right on the signature page. She looked at it, her eyes widening in horror.
Jason, are you kidding me? I'm sorry. I'm clumsy tonight.
Look, print another one? I can't, she cried.
The toner ran out on the last page. I have to go buy more tomorrow.
Well, I shrugged. Guess we have to wait until tomorrow night then. She stared at the ruined paper, her jaw tight. She was furious. Fine. Tomorrow. She turned and marched out. I waited until she was gone. Then I pulled out my phone and checked the camera feed from the kitchen. Melissa was standing there, aggressively texting on her phone. I zoomed in on the video. I couldn't read the screen, but I could see her face. She was seething. Then she made a call. I turned up the volume on my phone to hear the audio from the kitchen camera. He ruined the papers. She hissed into the phone. He spilled coffee on them like a toddler. No, I can't print more tonight. Yes, I know we're on a timeline. Look, Derek, just calm down. I'll get him to sign it tomorrow. And then on Sunday, you come over for the game, and we initiate Phase 2. Phase 2?
Yes.
She continued, listening. I know. I'll pick a fight about the coffee stain. I'll say he's reckless. I'll get him yelling. You just be ready to intervene if he gets violent. She laughed, a cold, cruel sound. Don't worry. He's such a pushover. He won't know what hit him. She hung up. I sat in the guest room, watching the feed, my heart turning to stone. Phase 2 was Sunday. They were going to stage a fight. Derek was going to be the hero who stepped in to protect her from the abusive husband. They'd call the cops. Derek would be the witness. It was a good plan. Evil, but good. But they didn't know I was the director of this show now. I saved the video clip. I emailed it to Samantha immediately with the subject line EVIDINC CLASBUTOF RAM. I texted her. They are planning the setup for Sunday, during the football game. Derek will be here. She replied 3 minutes later, perfect. Let them try. We will have the asset freeze ready to file Monday morning. But for Sunday, you need a witness of your own. Someone neutral. Can you invite anyone else? I thought about it. If I invited another friend, it might look suspicious. Derek might back off. I needed someone they wouldn't suspect. Then it hit me. My neighbor, Mrs. Gable. She was 70, the neighborhood gossip, and she loved me because I fixed her fence last summer. She was also notoriously nosy and had the hearing of a bat. If I invited her over for anniversary cake on Sunday, she would be the perfect independent witness. And Melissa couldn't say no to a sweet old lady without looking like a monster. I went downstairs. Melissa was washing a glass, looking composed again. Hey, I said apologetically. Sorry about the papers again. It's fine, she said tightly. Accidents happen. To make it up to you? I was thinking, since Derek is coming Sunday, why don't we invite Mrs. Gable too? She's been asking about you. We can make it a little block party thing. Grill some burgers. Melissa hesitated. I could see the gears turning. She didn't want a witness. But if she said no, it would be weird. Mrs. Gable, she wrinkled her nose. She talks so much. I know, but she's lonely. Come on. It's good karma. Plus, she makes that potato salad you like. Fine. Melissa sighed. Whatever. Invite her? Great. I went back upstairs. I looked at the camera feed again. The house was wired. The lawyer was prepped. The witness was invited. I was ready for Sunday. Friday and Saturday were an exercise in excruciating patience. I went to work. I came home. I played with Tyler. I signed the fresh set of loan documents on Friday night with a steady hand, knowing full well that Samantha had already prepared an emergency injunction to stop the bank from releasing the funds. The signature was bait. It made them think they had won. When I handed the signed papers to Melissa, her eyes lit up. Finally, she breathed, checking the signature. I'll scan these and send them over first thing in the morning. Sounds good, I said. Glad we got that sorted.
Now we can relax, Doc. Yes.
She smiled, a predator looking at a wounded gazelle. Relax. Saturday passed without incident. I spent most of the day in the garage with Tyler, building a birdhouse. It was our sanctuary, away from the cameras, away from her. Tomorrow is the big game. I told Tyler as we sanded the wood, Uncle Derek is coming. Tyler tensed up. The sandpaper stopped moving. It's okay. I reassured him. Remember the plan. You're going to stay in your room with your headphones on, just like Mom wants. But I handed him an old iPhone I used for music. I want you to FaceTime me on this phone if you get scared. Okay? Keep it under your pillow. Is something bad going to happen? He asked, his voice small. No, I lied. But adults get loud during football games. I just want you to have a hotline to Dad. Sunday morning arrived. The air was crisp, a perfect fall day. I woke up feeling a strange sense of calm. Today was the day the trap would snap shut. I prepped the grill. I put beers in the cooler. I set up the lawn chairs. At 12:30 p.m., Derek's car pulled into the driveway. Not the park this time. The driveway. He was claiming his territory. He got out wearing a Bears jersey and carrying a six-pack. He looked like the same guy I'd known for 20 years. The same smile. The same swagger. It was sickening. "Oh, Jay, man," he yelled, walking up the drive. "D-Rock," I called back. Forcing a grin, I walked over and gave him a bro hug. I felt his back muscles tense. He was nervous, too. Good. Good to see you, man. You too. Ready for the game? Born ready? Mel's inside making dip. Nice. I'll go say hi. He walked past me into the house. I watched him go, my hands clenching into fists at my sides. Enjoy it while it lasts, Derek. 10 minutes later, Mrs. Gable waddled over, carrying a giant bowl of potato salad. Jason, she chirped. Such a lovely day! Mrs. Gable, you look fantastic. Is that your famous salad?
Oh, stop it.
She giggled. Where's the beautiful wife? Inside, come on in. I led her into the living room. Melissa and Derek were standing a little too close together near the TV. They jumped apart when we entered. Look who it is, I announced. Oh, Mrs. Gable. Melissa said, her smile tight. I didn't know you were coming so early. Jason said kick off was at 1-0, she said, plopping onto the sofa right in front of the hidden camera. Perfect positioning. The game started. We ate. We drank. The tension in the room was palpable to everyone but Mrs. Gable, who chattered happily about her hydrangeas. Derek kept shooting glances at Melissa. Melissa kept checking her phone. I played the part of the oblivious husband perfectly. I cheered for the Bears. I refilled drinks. I complimented Melissa. Halftime came. This was it. The window of opportunity. I'm going to grab more ice, Melissa said, standing up. Jason, come help me? Sure, I said. I followed her into the kitchen. Derek stayed in the living room with Mrs. Gable. As soon as we were in the kitchen, Melissa's demeanor changed. She slammed the freezer door a little too hard. What is your problem today? She snapped. What? I looked at her, genuinely confused how they were acting like it. I'm fine. What do you mean? You're patronizing, she hissed. Inviting Mrs. Gable, hovering over me. It's suffocating, Jason. Here we go. The provocation. I invited her to be nice, Mel.
And hovering, I'm just getting ice. You're always watching me.
She raised her voice. It's like living with a warden.
I can't breathe in this house.
She was loud enough for the living room to hear. Mel, keep it down, I said calmly, keeping my hands visible. Or Mrs. Gable is right there.
I don't care,
she screamed, throwing the bag of ice on the floor. It shattered, cubes skittering everywhere.
I am sick of pretending everything is perfect. You don't listen to me. You never listen.
I'm listening now, I said, leaning back against the counter right in the frame of the camera. Tell me what's wrong.
You are what's wrong. You're controlling, you're manipulative.
She was getting closer, getting in my face.
Hit me. Go ahead. I know you want to. Just like your dad used to hit your mom.
The low blow. The trigger. I felt the rage spike white and hot. My dad never hit my mom. That was a lie she invented right now to hurt me. But I saw the camera lens blinking in the outlet. I took a deep breath. Melissa, I said, my voice steady and sad. I have never hit anyone in my life. And my father was a good man. I don't know why you're saying this, but I think you need to calm down. She stared at me, shocked that I didn't snap. She grabbed a plate from the counter.
Don't you tell me to calm down!
She threw the plate. Not at me, but near me. It smashed against the wall, shards flying. Help! She screamed.
Derek, help!
He's crazy! The living room door burst open. Derek came rushing in, feigning heroism. Hey! What's going on? He shouted, puffing out his chest. Jason, back off. I hadn't moved an inch. I was leaning against the counter, arms crossed. I'm not doing anything, Derek, I said.
He threw the plate at me.
Melissa sobbed, pointing at the shattered porcelain. He tried to hit me. Mrs. Gable appeared in the doorway behind Derek, looking terrified.
Oh, my heavens, she gasped.
Derek stepped up to me, getting in my face. You touch her again, I'll kill you, man. Get out. Get out of the house right now. Or what? I asked. Or I call the cops. Call them, I said. Derek blinked. What? Call the police. Let's get a report filed. He hesitated. This wasn't the script. I was supposed to run or punch him. I'm serious, I said, pulling out my phone. I'll call them. No, Melissa said quickly. Just go, Jason. Leave for the night. Let us cool down. I'm not leaving my house, Melissa.
And I'm not leaving my son. You are abusive, she shrieked. Mrs. Gable, you heard him. You heard the crash.
Mrs. Gable stepped forward, her voice trembling but firm. Actually, dear, I was watching from the doorway. Jason didn't throw that plate. You did. Silence. Absolute, suffocating silence. Melissa's face went pale. Derek froze. What? Melissa stammered. You're confused, Mrs. Gable. Your eyes aren't what they used to be. My eyes are fine. The old lady snapped. And I heard you goading him. Jason has been standing there like a statue. I looked at Derek. Looks like your witness isn't cooperating. Derek looked at Melissa, panic setting in. Maybe we should just all calm down. No, I said. I think the party is over. Derek, get out! You can't kick me out, Derek sneered. Mel invited me, and I'm uninviting you. Get out of my house before I show Mrs. Gable the text messages on your burner phone. Derek's face drained of color. He looked like he'd been shot. What? He whispered. You heard me. The laundry room phone, plumber. Phase 2, provoke him. I looked at Melissa. She was trembling. I know everything, I said, my voice low and dangerous. I know about the affair. I know about the money. I know about the plan to frame me. And guess what? The whole kitchen is recorded. That camera right there. I pointed to the charger. It captured your entire performance. Melissa looked at the outlet. She looked back at me, horror dawning on her face.
Get out, Derek, I repeated.
No, Derek didn't argue. He didn't look at Melissa. He turned and practically ran out of the house. I heard his car start and peel away seconds later. Mrs. Gable looked at me, then at Melissa. I think I should go too, Jason. If you need a statement. For the police, you let me know. Thank you, Mrs. Gable. I appreciate it. She left. It was just me and Melissa in the kitchen, surrounded by melting ice and broken pottery. She was crying now. Real tears this time. Jason, I can explain. Save it, I said coldly. Go upstairs. Pack a bag. You're sleeping in the guest room tonight. Tomorrow you'll hear from my lawyer.
Jason, please! It was a mistake! He manipulated me?
The only mistake, I said, walking past her, was thinking you could tear down this house without getting crushed by the rubble. I walked into the living room and sat down. My hands were shaking, but not from fear. From adrenaline, from victory, I texted Samantha. Incident recorded. Witness secured. Confession implied. Proceed with the filing. She replied instantly, filing first thing tomorrow morning. Asset freeze. Restraining order against HER and emergency custody motion. You did good. I leaned back and closed my eyes. The war wasn't over. But the first battle, it was a massacre. Monday morning hit like a sledgehammer. The silence in the house was deafening. Melissa had stayed in the guest room all night. I had slept in Tyler's room on a beanbag chair, just to be close to him. I woke him up early. Hey, bud, I whispered. No school today.
Really? He sat up, rubbing his eyes.
Why? Mental health day. We're going to go to Grandma's for a few days. My mom lived 2 hours away in Rockford. She was tough-loving and had zero tolerance for nonsense. She was the safest place I knew. Is Mom coming? No. Just us. I packed his bag quickly. I heard Melissa stirring in the guest room. I didn't want a confrontation in front of Tyler. We were out the door by 6:30 a.m. I drove him to my mom's house. On the way, I explained things as best as I could to an 8-year-old. Mom and I are having some big problems, I said. We're going to live apart for a while. But it's not your fault. And I am going to make sure you are safe and happy. Is it because of Uncle Derek, he asked. Yes, partially. I hate him, Tyler said fiercely. Me too, bud. Me too. I dropped him off with my mom, gave her the brief version. Ours, Melissa cheated, stole money, tried to frame me, lawyer is handling it, and drove back to the city. I had work to do. Not engineering work, legal work. At 9:00 a.m., Samantha Vance filed the motions. At 10:00 a.m., the judge granted the ex parte temporary restraining order and the asset freeze. The evidence, the video, the texts, the financial records was overwhelming. At 11:00 a.m., a process server was dispatched to my house. I sat in a coffee shop near the house, watching the feed from the living room camera on my phone. Melissa was pacing the living room, talking on the phone, presumably to Derek. She looked frantic.
I can't access the accounts!
I heard her scream.
My card was declined at Starbucks! He must have locked them!
Then the doorbell rang. She walked to the door. I switched to the hallway camera. A large man in a windbreaker stood there.
Melissa Reynolds.
Yes.
You've been served. He handed her a thick stack of papers. She looked at them, confused. Then she started reading. I saw her knees buckle. She collapsed onto the bottom step of the stairs, sobbing. The order gave her 24 hours to vacate the marital residence. It granted me temporary sole custody of Tyler. It froze all joint assets. She was out. I waited until she stood up and started frantically dialing her phone again. Then I drove home. I walked in. She was in the kitchen, throwing things into boxes. She looked up when I entered, her eyes red and puffy, filled with venom. You bastard. She spat. You froze everything. How am I supposed to live? Ask Derek. I said calmly. Maybe he can lend you some cash from that renovation project he's working out.
You cank me out! This is my house, too!
Read the order. Melissa. The judge disagrees. You tried to fabricate a domestic violence charge. That makes you a danger to the household. You have until tomorrow morning, but honestly, I'd prefer you leave now.
I'm not leaving without Tyler!
Tyler is with my mother, and the order says you have no visitation until the hearing next week. She screamed, a primal, frustrated sound, and swept a row of spices off the rack. Stop breaking things, I said, pointing to the camera. It's all being recorded. Every outburst just helps my case. She froze, looking at the camera. Then she slumped, defeated.
Why, Jason?
She whispered, why are you doing this?
We could have just divorced. We could have.
I agreed. If you had come to me and said you were unhappy, if you had been honest. But you didn't. You cheated. You lied. You stole. And you tried to take my son away from me by branding me a wife beater. You declared war, Melissa. I'm just finishing it. She packed in silence after that. It took her 3 hours. She filled her car with clothes, her computer, and some personal items. When she walked out the door, she paused. I loved you once, she said. No, I said. You loved the stability I provided. And when you got bored, you tried to burn it down. As she left, I locked the door. I changed the code on the smart lock immediately. I sat down on the couch in the quiet house. It felt empty, but clean. The rot was gone. But I wasn't done. There was still Derek. Derek, who worked for a large engineering firm downtown. Derek, who had a morality clause in his contract. Derek, who was currently overseeing a public works project that required strict ethical standards. I opened my laptop. I composed an email to the HR director at Derek's firm. I attached the screenshots of the texts where he discussed hiding assets and manipulating the legal system. I attached the video of him threatening me in my own home. Subject: ethics violation and criminal conspiracy, Derek Stevens. I hit send. Then I looked at the calendar. Today was our actual anniversary. 10 years I went to the kitchen. I opened the fridge. There was a bottle of expensive champagne we had been saving. I took it out. I popped the cork. It was a loud, sharp sound in the empty house. I poured a glass. I walked out to the backyard and sat on the deck looking at the sunset. My phone buzzed. It was a text from Derek. "You think you won? You're dead, man. Watch your back." I smiled. I took a sip of champagne. I replied, "Check your work email." 3 minutes later, my phone rang. Derek calling. I let it go to voicemail. He called again. I blocked his number. I sat there watching the sky turn purple and gold. I was alone. My marriage was over. My best friendship was a lie. My finances were a mess that would take months to untangle. But I had my son. I had my house. And I had my dignity. I raised my glass to the empty yard. "Happy anniversary, Jason," I whispered. The first week after Melissa left was the longest week of my life. The house, usually filled with the ambient noise of a family, the TV, the dishwasher, footsteps upstairs, was utterly silent. But it wasn't a lonely silence. It was the silence of a structure that had survived a hurricane. The wind had stopped howling, the rain had stopped lashing, and now there was just the quiet work of assessing the damage. I brought Tyler back from my mom's house on Wednesday. He was hesitant walking through the front door, gripping my hand tight. He looked around the living room as if he expected a monster to jump out from behind the sofa. Is she here?" he whispered. "No, buddy," I said, crouching down to his level. "Mum is staying somewhere else for a while."
It's just us. You, me, and the fortress. The fortress.
"Yeah, no bad guys allowed." He managed a small smile. We spent that first night building a massive blanket fort in the living room. We ordered pizza. We played video games until way past his bedtime. I wanted to reclaim the space, to scrub the memory of that awful Sunday out of the walls and replace it with something pure. But while the evenings were for Tyler, the days were for war. On Thursday morning, I received an email from the HR director at Derek's firm. "Dear Mr. Reynolds, thank you for bringing this matter to our attention. We take allegations of ethical misconduct and criminal conspiracy very seriously. Mr. Stevens has been placed on administrative leave pending an internal investigation. Please do not contact him further. All communication should be directed through our legal department." Administrative leave. It was corporate speak for "he's done." In our industry, reputation is everything. Engineers sign off on safety, we trade on trust. If you are proven to be a liar, a manipulator, and a thief in your personal life, no firm will trust you to sign a blueprint for a bridge. Derek wasn't just losing his job, he was losing his career. I felt a grim satisfaction, but it was fleeting. Because Melissa was still out there, and she wasn't going quietly. Her lawyer, a strip mall generalist named Mr. Henderson, filed a response to our motion on Friday. It was a work of fiction that rivaled Tolkien. In his filing, Melissa claimed that I was the controlling one. She claimed that plumber. Texts were out of context jokes. She claimed the video from the kitchen was doctored, and that I had psychologically abused her for years, forcing her to seek comfort in the arms of a friend. She demanded the house, full custody of Tyler, and $5,000 a month in spousal support. "She's delusional," I told Samantha Vance over the phone, pacing my kitchen. "She's desperate," Samantha corrected me. "She knows she's caught. This is what we call an extinction burst. When a behavior, in this case her manipulation, stops working, the subject ramps it up to try and get the old result. She's throwing everything at the wall to see what sticks. Will any of it stick? Not with the evidence we have. The judge has already seen the video. He's seen the texts. But we have to go through the motions. We have a mediation hearing scheduled for next Tuesday. You need to be ready to see her." I'm ready. Tuesday came. The mediation took place in a neutral office downtown. I wore my best suit. I wanted to look like the stable, successful professional I was. Melissa walked in 10 minutes late. She looked diminished. She was wearing a conservative dress I had never seen before, likely bought for the occasion to look like the grieving mother. Her hair was pulled back. She wasn't wearing her wedding ring. When she saw me, her eyes hardened. She sat across the long table flanked by Mr. Henderson. I sat next to Samantha. "Let's begin," the mediator said. For the first hour, it was just noise. Her lawyer blustered about emotional distress and lifestyle maintenance. Melissa sniffled on cue, dabbing at dry eyes with a tissue. I sat in silence, hands folded on the table. I studied the wood grain. I thought about load-bearing walls. I didn't look at her. Finally, Samantha spoke. She didn't bluster. She didn't raise her voice. She simply slid a tablet across the table. "Mr. Henderson," she said coolly, "before you continue with this narrative of Mrs. Reynolds being a victim, I suggest you review Exhibit D. We didn't include this in the initial filing because we were waiting for forensic verification, which we now have." Henderson looked confused. He tapped the screen. It was the full export of the financial records I had compiled, cross-referenced with the text messages. "Page 4, Samantha directed. Date March 12th. A text from Mrs. Reynolds to Mr. Stevens discussing the halakist, as they called it. She explicitly states, once the funds clear, I'll transfer half to the crypto wallet and we can claim Jason gambled it away." The room went deadly silent. Henderson stopped reading. He looked at Melissa. Melissa's face had gone the color of ash. That's a joke," Melissa stammered. "We're joking. Forensic accounting shows a test transfer of 100 to a Coinbase account in your name the very next day," Samantha said. "It wasn't a joke, Melissa. It was wire fraud and conspiracy to commit fraud." Samantha leaned forward. "Now here is our offer. Jason keeps the house. Jason keeps full physical custody of Tyler. You get supervised visitation every other weekend. Pending a psychological evaluation, you get 0 spousal support. You keep your car and your personal items. And in exchange, Jason does not file a criminal complaint for the attempted fraud and theft." Melissa stared at us, her mouth opened and closed. "You can't do that?" she whispered. "I'm his mother." "You are a woman who plotted to frame the father of your child for domestic abuse," I said. It was the first time I had spoken. My voice was low, vibrating with suppressed anger. "I heard you, Melissa. I heard you tell Derek to intervene if I got violent. You wanted to send me to jail. You wanted to ruin my life so you could run off with my best friend and my money. You aren't a mother. You're a monster." She flinched as if I had slapped her. "Take the deal," Henderson whispered to her. He was pale too. He knew he was out of his depth. He knew that if this went to trial, she could end up in prison. Melissa looked at me one last time. She was searching for the man who used to forgive her for everything. The man who brought her coffee in bed. The man who was a pushover. She didn't find him. He was gone. "Fine," she choked out. "I'll sign." She signed the papers with a shaking hand. Then she stood up and ran out of the room. I let out a breath I felt like I had been holding for 10 years. "It's over," Samantha said, closing her file. "Not quite," I said. "I still have to go home and tell Tyler." That was the hardest part. Driving home knowing that I had just legally severed the family unit. Even though it was necessary, even though it was right, it felt like an amputation. When I got home, my mom was there, watching Tyler. She took one look at my face and nodded. She knew. I took Tyler out to the backyard. We sat on the swing set I had built him when he was 5.
"Did you see Mom?" he asked.
"I did. Is she coming home?" "No, Ty. Mom and I, we're officially divorced now. She's going to live in her own apartment. You're going to live here with me." He swung his legs, looking at his sneakers. "Do I have to see her?" "Not for a little while," I said. "When you do, it will be just for a visit. And if you don't want to go, we can talk about that." He was quiet for a long time. The sun was setting, casting long shadows across the grass. "Dad?" "Yeah, Bud. Can we get a dog?" I blinked, surprised by the pivot. "A dog?" "Yeah, a guard dog. For the fortress!" I looked at him. He was resilient. Kids are like bamboo, they bend in the wind, but they don't break if the roots are strong. I was his roots. "You know what?" I smiled, pulling him into a hug. "I think a fortress definitely needs a guard dog. We'll go to the shelter on Saturday." He grinned, a real, genuine grin. The house was empty of her. The closets were empty of her clothes. But as I sat there with my son, planning our trip to the dog shelter, the house didn't feel empty anymore. It felt full of potential. 1 year later, there is a specific smell to fresh lumber that I have always loved. It smells like possibility. It smells like the future. I stood in the center of what used to be the formal dining room, a room we were never allowed to use because Melissa didn't want the carpet to get dirty, and took a deep breath. The carpet was gone, ripped up months ago to reveal the original hardwood underneath. The beige wallpaper was gone, replaced by a vibrant, deep navy blue. And in the center of the room stood a massive, sprawling table covered in a chaotic, colorful metropolis of Legos. "Dad! I found the piece!" Tyler ran into the room, holding a tiny gray plastic connector like it was the Holy Grail. He was 9 now, taller, lankier, and missing a front tooth that he had lost in a hockey match last week. "Excellent," I said, taking the piece. This is the structural support for the Death Star's laser array, critical component. If we don't fix it, the rebels win, Tyler said seriously. Exactly. And we can't have that. We spent the next hour clicking bricks together, debating the aerodynamics of TI fighters. This room, the Uggo Lab, as we called it, was the final stage of our renovation. Over the last year, Tyler and I had systematically reclaimed the house. We painted the kitchen a bright, cheerful yellow. We turned the guest room, formerly the site of Melissa's home office, and my exile, into a home gym and music room where I was teaching Tyler to play the guitar. We had exorcised the ghosts with paint rollers and power drills. Life had settled into a new rhythm. It wasn't the frantic, high-stress pace of before. It was slower, deliberate. My career was flourishing. Without the constant drain of emotional energy at home, I found I had more focus at work. I had been promoted to senior project lead. I was designing a new suspension bridge that would span the river, a visible mark on the city skyline. But my most important project was right here. Lunchtime, I announced, checking my watch.
What are we thinking?
Tacos.
Tacos! Tyler cheered. As we moved to the kitchen, a blur of golden fur nearly tripped me.
Easy, Buster! I laughed.
Buster was our golden retriever mix, adopted exactly 1 week after the divorce was finalized. He was a terrible guard dog. He would likely lick an intruder to death, but he was an excellent therapist. He slept at the foot of Tyler's bed every night, chasing away the nightmares that had plagued him for the first few months. As I browned the taco meat, my phone buzzed on the counter. It was a text from Derek. Well, not Derek directly. It was a LinkedIn notification. Derek Stevens has viewed your profile. I smirked. I clicked on the notification out of curiosity. Derek's profile was a wasteland. His current position was listed as independent consultant. No company logo, no endorsements. Word in the industry was that after he was fired, he tried to sue for wrongful termination. It backfired spectacularly when the firm counter sued for breach of contract, citing the reputational damage caused by his involvement in a fraud conspiracy. He had lost his license for a year pending an ethics board review. He was working retail at a big box hardware store now, trying to scrape by. And Melissa, she was living in a small apartment on the outskirts of the city. She had cycled through 3 jobs in the last year. The graphic design business had tanked, partly because she lost her focus, and partly because word gets around in small suburban circles. She saw Tyler every other weekend. He went, but he didn't enjoy it. He told me she spent most of the time talking about how unfair everything was or asking questions about me. Is Dad seeing anyone? Did Dad buy a new truck? I wasn't seeing anyone. Not yet. I had gone on a few dates, but I was taking it slow. I was happy being a dad. I was happy being free. Dad, Tyler said mid-taco. Can I ask you something? Anything we ever gonna move? I stopped eating. I looked around the bright yellow kitchen at the dogs sleeping in the sunbeam, at the calendar on the wall filled with hockey practices and guitar lessons. Do you want to move? No, he said quickly. I like it here. It feels so different now. Better. I agree, I said. We aren't going anywhere, Ty. This is our house. We built it. Built it, he corrected. Right? Rebuilt it. Later that afternoon, I sat on the back porch while Tyler threw a tennis ball for Buster. The sun was dipping low, painting the sky in hues of orange and violet. It was the same view I had stared at on my 10th anniversary, feeling like my life was over. It hadn't been over, it had just been undergoing a necessary demolition. Sometimes you have to tear a structure down to the studs to realize the foundation was flawed. You have to strip away the rotting wood, the termites, the facade that looks pretty but holds no weight. It's painful. It's messy. It leaves you exposed to the elements. But once the debris is cleared, you have a chance to build something new, something stronger, something that won't collapse when the wind blows. I watched my son laugh as the dog tackled him into the leaves. I took a sip of my iced tea. I thought about the burner phone in the laundry room. I thought about the plumber. I thought about the betrayal that had almost broken me. And then I let it go. I let it drift away like smoke in the wind. They were the past. Tyler and I, we were the future. Hey, Dad! Tyler yelled from the yard. Watch this throw. I leaned forward, my eyes locked on my son. I'm watching, buddy. I called back. I'm watching. And for the first time in a long time, I liked what I saw. Outro, thank you so much for reading Jason's story. It's a powerful reminder that sometimes the people closest to us are the ones wearing the masks, and that trust, once broken, can be the catalyst for a necessary, albeit painful, transformation. I think Jason's handling of the situation, remaining calm, gathering evidence, and protecting his son above all else, was a masterclass in restraint. It's incredibly difficult to keep your cool when your world is burning down, but his structural engineer mindset saved him. He assessed the load, found the weak points, and reinforced his own position before the collapse. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Do you think Jason should have pressed charges for the fraud? Or was cutting them out of his life completely the better revenge? And what about Tyler? Do you think kids are more resilient than we give them credit for? If you enjoyed this story, please hit that like button. It really helps the channel grow and lets me know you want more stories like this. And if you haven't already, please subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a daily story. Until next time, stay safe, watch your foundations, and trust your gut.